This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. On this episode, we have a special guest. He is an editorial researcher and fantasy analyst at NFL Network and NFL Fantasy. You can also find his work at RotoBaller. And one thing we know for sure is that his content is fire content only. It's the one and only LaQuan Jones. Welcome to the podcast, LQ.
What's going on, my guy? It's been a long time coming, man. I'm glad I can get here with you, man, and connect.
No, I love it. I'm thrilled to have you on here. Been excited to get you on here at some point. And I know that the NFL season is wild and the fantasy season's crazy. But you're here, so let's talk about your passion for sports. Obviously, there's no doubt that you are a passionate sports fan. Now, were you born and raised in New Jersey? Is that right?
Yeah, born and raised in New Jersey, man. Most of my life now. I'm over here now in LA working and stuff, but born and raised in Jersey, man. Jersey's very close to my heart, man, and I love my home place. I love that state, man, and everything it represents.
So how did a Jersey kid become a Rams fan? How did that all happen?
That's always the number one question. I grew up loving soccer. That's like my first love. So when I started watching football, like one of the first games I watched was one of the greatest the greatest show on turf. And it was like, wow, who are these guys? I just watched a couple games and it was just like, hey, this is my team. I really like this squad. I mean, Marshall Faulk, Adam Marchuella, the safety. There's plenty of guys I can name and go down the line, like Mike Jones with the tackle, very impactful for us getting that Super Bowl. It just goes back to the time where like the Rams were like my love, my passion, because they were just the greatest team. And then we kind of fell off a cliff, but I stayed loyal, man. I stayed loyal through all those times. I made it to the Mark Bolger era, and I made it all the way through Jeff Fisher. Not clean, but we're here, baby.
I love it. Well, it paid off. You got the Sean McVay era. Things have been pretty good, and I can see why you'd fall in love with that team. I mean, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, and what a squad that was, and Marshall Faulk. I mean, he did it all. So I can see that. Now, were you also passionate about any teams in the New York area?
Absolutely not.
even basketball or baseball, nothing.
Basketball didn't come until probably middle school, where I became a Boston Celtics fan. This is like Rondo when he was just playing backup behind Eddie House, and Paul Pierce is there, Ricky Davis, Big Baby Davis, like around that era where I was a good like Celtic fan. And then after a while, I kind of just strayed away from basketball, and like my last straw really was the IT4 Isaiah Thomas ordeal. They get into the playoffs, sister passes away, and then we trade them off. And I was like, that's kind of dirty, man. So I'm kind of boycotting this front office and this team right now, but it is what it is.
How about baseball? Were you a baseball fan growing up?
So being that I was a Rams fan, I tried to be a St. Louis Cardinals fan, Albert Pujols, but I couldn't keep up. I just couldn't keep up with baseball. If I'm not there watching it, I'm probably not going to watch it on TV.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Fair enough. So as a sports fan, do you have like a major loss, like your biggest loss as a sports fan that you can think of?
Oh, man. It has to be recent, man, with the Rams and Jared Goff in 2018 with the Patriots, man. And like, I was so happy to be able to watch that game as an adult. And then it didn't play out the way I wanted it to play out. Like, we had a stacked team. We had a solid defense. But Todd Gurley broke, and, we had Jared Goff just making little errors in there, and he couldn't get the offense going. But that still hurts my heart, man, because it's like the Patriots again. They break our hearts in the Super Bowl. Like, nah.
But yeah, that was an ugly game for sure. And yeah, you're right. Gurley he was broken. Like, it was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, it was the Eagles game that he got tackled on the sideline that hurt him. So going into the rest of the playoffs in that game, it wasn't good.
Yeah, his career was never the same. How about an all-time favorite moment as a sports fan?
All-time favorite moment? I mean, the obvious would be the Rams, but I'm actually going to switch sports. It's probably going to be soccer. It'll be 2011 Wayne Rooney Derby Day versus Man City, where he hits the bicycle kick. That was so lit for me to even see. First of all, not expecting it. Like, it's Derby Day. We're going against City, and pulls out the bicycle kick. Like, I love that moment so much, where I got a big frame, thanks to my wife, she bought it, Wayne Rooney hitting that kick, and it sat in my basement. It's in my mom's garage right now, but it's going to come to LA soon once she ships
I
it.
love it. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
did you play a lot of soccer growing up? Is that
Yeah.
where the passion
So,
came from?
yeah, my passion for soccer started when I was 6 years old. My mom put me into like this recreational league and kind of just kids running around, but like I was always like little fast kid just sprinting everywhere and like I just started liking the game because it was fast paced and ever since I was 6 years old, the rest is history. I've just been playing. I mean, all through high school, travel, I played indoor leagues that, kept us all year round because Jersey, there's snow and rain and stuff like that. Pickup games. Like it was just like I needed to play soccer, and then as the body gets older, you kind of stray away. I still
uh,
go out there somehow.
I love it. I love it. Now, how about fantasy football? Like, when did you discover fantasy sports?
Fantasy came to me through my best friend Orlando. He just was bugging me for years, bro. He was like, "Look, if you play fantasy football, man, you'll get to know other teams, you'll get to know other players, et cetera, et cetera." Because I was one of those fans that only watch Rams games. I don't care who's playing on Sunday. If it ain't the Rams, I'm not watching football. That's how I was, coming up. But I want to say probably 8, 9 years ago, that's when I started playing, where I just fell in love with it and became an addict. And it's worse when you first time playing and you win the league. And it's like, oh, yeah, I can win because I know what I'm doing. But it's only because I drafted AJ Green and Julio Jones. So they were just going crazy that year. With Jeremy Hill as my running back. I don't know why they let me get this combination, but I won. So I was like, all right, whatever.
And you were hooked ever since. I love it.
Ever since, man.
Do you remember consuming content early on in fantasy? Like
So,
any
yeah.
analysts out there that you loved?
So I started watching well, actually, I'm lying. It started on Facebook where I started seeing people post things, but I really wasn't like aware of like there was a community going on. Like people were like posting videos to help and share advice. But more so when I started to dive into like fantasy content of watching somebody else's stuff, this is before me even thinking I could be an analyst or whatever. I was watching, Nick Arcolano, Big Dog's Gotta Eat. I started watching the footballers, and there's this other, I think it's called Fantasy Smack. I mean, they had a like 4-year run and then they kind of stopped. I mean, Fantasy Frenzy. I mean, and plenty of the goats over there, man. And it's like, man, I kind of like this stuff. I kind of want to do it myself because people already asked me advice for their fantasy because I like to talk football with people. So that's kind of how the marriage started. There's just consuming content from these great guys and then going into making my own content.
Nice, nice. Now, when it comes to fantasy, like, what do you love about the game? Like, what's your favorite part of the
The
fantasy football
customization,
experience?
man, the
Yeah,
super flex, the tight end premiums, like I like mixing it up. I mean, there's leagues where I have 9 on the bench. There's leagues where I only have 5 on the bench. Like I just like the combination. Like I love drafting. I love mock drafts and like I like building a team and managing it throughout the season to make the right decisions. And then, like a home league like mine where there's a lot of personalities because like all the guys that are in my home league, it's a 12-man league, and we're all from high school or in the area
nice.
where we all grew up, and like there's recorded phone calls going on. There's secretly collusions, and there's just a bunch of just chaos going on amongst, players that are green or players that are veterans, like how myself and a couple of my other buddies. It's like a lot of comedy goes into this like home league to where it just makes us every single year just keep playing and playing because something crazy happens all the time.
That's what it's all about. It's that home league experience. At least for
Yeah,
me. I mean, and I think it's pretty uniform out there that it's the game, right? That we love playing with friends,
yeah.
and if you got a home league like that, it's you know what it's all about. Did you guys do live drafts back in the day?
Yeah. Oh man, we had like 3 live drafts that were just like every single year we were just doing it bigger and bigger and better to where I started recording them. It became a web series and stuff like that. And like I had a confessional in one of my live drafts. Like it just became a whole thing and it just became bigger than just playing fantasy football. It became like such a huge thing and an event that everybody looks forward to. Like this year, we're trying to do like an Olympics, like a summer Olympics type style to figure out our draft picks. Like
Nice.
that's like how big we're trying to do things right now to get guys in shape and actually fight for this 101.
Nice for like selecting draft order.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. I love it. That's what I'm all about. So I love
Yeah,
what you're doing with that. We
absolutely.
gotta unearth some of that footage. Though I need to see some of the old school footage
Oh
from your
my
league.
God. It's on YouTube. It's there. It's buried in all the videos, but it's there. Such a good time, man.
I love it. I love it. Now, do you have a primary rival in fantasy football?
Oh
Is it
my,
in that home league, or is it
in my home league.
Is it Troy King?
He's up there. He's number 2, but it's
Oh,
definitely one of
nice.
my friends, in my home league where we go at it like every week. We're side chatting out of the group chat, like, yo, I got you next week, blah blah blah. Start trash talking and stuff like that. But these are my boys, man. So it's no friends in fantasy football from the time that week 1 starts until December when there's a name winner champion. So there's no friends within my home league. So we're doing a lot of trash talking.
Nice. That's what it's all about. So you obviously you fell in love with the game.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start creating content?
So what really inspired me, crazy enough, is Nick Arcolano, Big Dog's Gotta Eat, man. Because I was watching his content early on, and shout out to Nicky Stacks and Animal, like those guys over there, their personalities that it's like contagious, and like they're Jersey guys as well. So like I'm relating to some of the things they're saying and doing stuff like that. I'm watching, Nick's videos, how he's so good at breaking down a player outlook and stuff like that. So I just hit him up one day. Like this dude only had like 1,300 subscribers on YouTube at the time. Now look at him where he's at now. And it's like I hit him up. I was like, hey man, I'm thinking about doing content, like what do I need? Like what type of laptop with lighting? Like this dude comes back with an Amazon list with the links and the email and doesn't know me from anything and kind of just like, hey, you need this, you need that, you need this. And I'm like, dude, thank you. Like I didn't even expect you to answer back, honestly. Like this is amazing. And then our relationship grew from there to where like I helped him out with some of his rookie draft guides and stuff like that, like to the point where I interviewed with him to like be part of his staff and actually help him, which was, I was upfront and honest, like, hey, I'm doing my own content, but I definitely want to help contribute to what you're doing because I love what you're doing. And I feel like this can take it to the moon. So him being such a great guy and just being so open arms and trying to help me get my content to where it's at now, it's like forever at any type of platform or no matter where I at and this question is asked, I have to give him his flowers and I have to give him his love because it's just like, man, you're the reason why I'm even doing this. You're the reason why I fell in love with this. And like content creating has became basically my life. And it's like, dude, man, thank you.
That's awesome. No, that's a cool story. Nick, I mean, what a guy. Like, I mean, is real and as authentic as it gets out there. It doesn't surprise me at all that
Yeah.
he did that back in the day. I love it.
Big
So
Jersey.
that's awesome. I love it. So was that so when did you start? I know that, going back, you're pre-COVID, like you're 2019
Yeah,
at least, right?
I started hard. I want to say 2017, 2018 is where I really started feeling myself. 2019 was a weird year for me, man, because I was just really trying to get my groove and my foot in my door in like most of my like mechanic world and like other different jobs and stuff like that. So 2019, I kind of took the back seat of where like I only had like 6, 7 videos done that year. And then 2020 hit to where it was just like before the lockdown, like, dude, I have to get my stuff together. Is this what I want to do? Do I want to work on cars for the rest of my life? No, of course not. So I kind of put my big boy pants on and was like, look, I'm going to hit this content hard and I'm going to hit it heavy. And I got to flood the internet. I got to flood Instagram. I got to flood Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. Like you're going to see me, you're going to hear me is what my mentality was.
That's awesome. So, I mean, your content has evolved over the years a ton, right? Do you ever go back and watch some of those old videos?
Yeah, they're still there to humble me, honestly, because
Yeah.
like it's some of my editing and like some of my like vocabulary that I'm using and like the look away, like staring straight off screen, looking at my notebook, like trying to like do a video, and my videos were so long, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like I can't look at it like all the time because it's very cringe, but I do still have them to look at them.
I like it. So when did you start? When did you know things were starting to click? Like when did that content start becoming fire?
I feel like it has to be 2020 during the COVID lockdown where, I'm home and I'm trying to think like, how do I elevate, my content? So I started this series called Beyond the Game where I interview previous players of the past. So my first interview I got was Isaiah Petey, he's a running back for the Rams, and like kind of started and trickled from there where I was able to get Austin Pettis, to interview him and talk to him about his cousin Deontay Pettis, and I was able to get Kenny Britt. We never were able to finish the time, but as you can see, I was going with all Rams players where it was just like that was my reach just because I was such a huge fan. Well, I am a huge fan, so I figured they would answer first. And then I started expanding. I started going to other players and stuff like that, And then after I was like, yo, if I have this type of reach and I have this type of manner to do interviews, I can reach anybody and try to interview them to pick their brain to make me better fantasy analyst. So I was able to get Marcus Grant. I was able to get Heath Cummings. I was able to get Jamie Eisenberg. I was able to get, Mike Ray of the fantasy footballers. Like I was able to have this reach to get some great guys on my show. And it's like, man, this is growing to where like I'm getting so much knowledge from these guys. They're giving me so many tips off air, like off the screen after recordings hit done. We're sitting and talking for like 10, 15 minutes of like how I can better my craft, how I can do this better, or what I'm doing that's so great. And it's like just to have these guys in the industry to mold you guys like this. And it's like, man, this is awesome.
That's awesome. No, that's really cool. You're bringing back memories because I remember watching this stuff happen like in real time. So
I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is fun.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So yeah, you started out solo, right? Real Deal Fantasy HQ, right? And then and at one point you had a wolf pack. Talk to me about the wolf pack.
So the wolf pack I really was using to call my audience because like I always feel as though, when you start like a group or you make a company and you have to have the loyal fan base, the core people there. And like I was having people follow me from Facebook all the way to Instagram, or people from Instagram follow me to Twitter. So they were the wolf pack. They rolled around with me. And like there's two ways to look at the wolf pack. We're standalone wolves at one point, and then we come together and we're just that group that kind of goes against the grain of like what the mainstream meta, whatever's talking about in the timeline. That's kind of how my thinking has been for X amount of years. That's just where like I got to go with my own thought process. I have to block out everything else that everybody else is talking about and have my own thought and jot it down and full send it. So that's really what the Wolfpack was about. And then I brung some great guys along. I brung on Andrew, I brung on Cody, I brung on Lee, I brung on Sean Wayno. Like I brung on all these guys to help me produce the content as well. So we launched a website. We started doing DFS with articles and stuff like that. Cody started doing his own videos and we started a podcast together. And Andrew was working and writing. So it's like, it was great to start out, and those guys are doing amazing things and what they're doing today. And like unfortunately, life happens, you kind of break apart, you kind of have your own thoughts, and you want to have your own visions. And that's kind of what my vision was from the beginning with all these guys as a group that we came together, that you all have your standalone platforms. And that's from day one that I had from each and every one of them. I was like, look, Cody, I want to get you 1,000 followers by September. Andrew, I want your articles to hit like 1,000 views every time it drops. Like that was my goals that I set in place for them, and to see them actually be able to achieve this on their own is amazing, man.
That's phenomenal. I love it. I love it. And obviously, you've seized opportunities. Talk to me about kind of what led to where you're at now. Obviously, NFL, like you went from Jersey to LA. Talk to me about taking advantage of those opportunities and making things happen.
So around 2020, when all these things are happening, where I'm like getting momentum and like 2021 comes around, and then 2022, and like while all these years are going by, I'm still a full-time mechanic. So I'm kind of working to my end to where like, man, my body's starting to hurt, bro. Like I can't keep getting up 5:30 in the morning, driving here and doing this and lifting this up. So I kind of got tired of like balancing between fantasy and work, which was being a mechanic. And I was like, I have to make a choice. Like, am I going to do this fantasy stuff full time? Am I going to just jump out the window and go chase my dreams? Or I'm going to go back to being a mechanic and watching my body deteriorate. So it's like, man, so literally it was like 3, maybe 4 in the morning. And I'm just scrolling through, Indeed. And then, I go to the NFL.com website and I just apply. I'm just like, hey, wouldn't hurt. Whatever. I'll do it. I applied, and then I want to say like a month goes by, I get an email for a follow-up, and it's just like a video interview. And I'm like, this ain't real. What is this? Like, is this spam? So I show my wife, and she was like, yeah, this kind of looks real. You should probably go ahead and do it. So a day goes by. I think about it all day at work, where I'm like, screw it. Let me just reply. So I go on my lunch, I reply. I do the interview as soon as I get home that night. And then 2 weeks later, I get a call back. And I'm just like, is this really happening? Like, is the NFL calling right now? Like, I had no idea, but the rest is history after that. I smoked the interview process. The guys over there, they gave me this opportunity to actually get my foot in the door. And then now being able to be in the same building as NFL Fantasy, to rub elbows with the producers and obviously the talent and stuff like that, to build this relationship. Just to be in the building is kind of all I needed, because you get me in the building, I'm going to take care of the rest. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm able to take on the opportunities while handling my actual job title, which is an editorial researcher, to work the shows Total Access and, NFL Now when it was. Now I'm doing Insiders, with Tom, Ian, and Mike. So, and Judy Batista, I can't forget about her as well. So it's like I have all these things on my plate now. So to grasp on every opportunity that I get for fantasy, I will do it, and I will apply myself to 110%, like I've been doing, for the last couple of years.
I love it. What a journey. What a story. I love it. And talk to me a little bit about what you're doing with RotoBaller as well.
RotoBaller, man, I love those guys over there taking me on, man, because I was looking for a company, man, where, no diss to any other company that I work for, but I wanted a company where I felt like my content was valued and I can be heard of my ideas. And they have given me completely creative control to where I can do what I want and talk about what I want. And those guys over there, man, they got some workers. They got some heavy hitters over there at RotoBaller. Like, I work with some great guys over there, man. And it's like we have a team full of people that are passionate about fantasy football, and we just all thrive off each other when it comes to that.
I love it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What's been the most difficult challenge? And obviously, you kind of outlined it a little bit with making big decisions and moving out west. But what's been the biggest challenge for you so far?
The biggest challenge for me, I would say, it's just reaching a different audience, man. I constantly want to reach different people and to different groups. And like, I want to spark the interest of, maybe not the average, fantasy player would like tune into my type of content. Like, I kind of want to spark their interest across the board. Like, men, women, doesn't even matter. Like, all across the board, I kind of just want to be heard. And that's probably on me, because it's like, I'm not right now currently doing my best to try to reach everybody. So the most difficult task for me is time of balancing work, family, and everything else, So like this move over here from Jersey to California, I mean, there's a lot to do out here. You know what I mean? Where I come from, yeah, we didn't have much to do, and then things we had to do, I've already ran them out. I've done it like hundreds and thousands of times. So coming here, there's a lot of distractions. The weather's good. I can go down to the beach. I can go, downtown. I can go have a burger, taco truck. It doesn't matter. There's so much to do. So it's like, that's just been something that I've been struggling with, especially this past season, to try to stay consistent.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are you most proud of during this run?
Oh man, I'm really proud of, the connections I made, and seeing some of the connections I made early on, making friends with everybody, even you, Kev, like making friends with you. It's like, man, just to see everybody's content blossom to where it's at now, to see that you guys didn't give up, to see you guys are really putting your foot down. This is the passion. So all my friends and peers that, I've communicated with and connected with, I'm just happy and proud that we can all come together in Canton and just laugh and joke, have drinks, and have a good time, man, and say, hey, this is what we do for work. This is what we do to make a living. This is our passion. This is our love. Like, some people are still working full-time jobs or part-time jobs, and hey, that's fine. They're funding that money to their dreams. So I really am proud of like what the fantasy community is right now when it comes to being together and making the content. So I'm not too happy with the other part of the fantasy community that we're dealing with, but I'm sure we'll get to that later.
Yeah, sure, for sure. No, it's true. No, we've met a ton of great people in this fantasy football community, in this space over the years, and it's been cool to see. I've seen so many great friendships arise, and experience them myself, and it is special to get to Canton and see all those people in person and create memories. So it's true, but you're right. I mean, there's been some drama in the community, and when you say the community's dead, my impression of that is basically like you're talking about that specific era, like that time where people felt so connected, probably the COVID era, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, there's still a community. There was a community years ago. There's a community moving forward. But a little more on that. Like, what do you mean by that when you say that it's dead?
So, not to speak too much on the actual drama that I'm talking about, but to see that drama unfold how it did, and then to see, people that were in the community at the time where it was at its golden years were being connected and being respectful and not trying to be troll like to see those people kind of like act the way they acted, to kind of drag on the drama for multiple days. And it just seems like it's the same people now. So it's like, the community's dead. Like, what happened? Like, before, this wouldn't have gone on for 3-4 days. This would have been nibbed in the butt the first 8 to 12 hours, you know. But just to see some of the people that were here during the golden eras to act the way they act and kind of just make the drama bigger and make it louder, and it's kind of just like, who cares? Go outside.
Yeah.
Go outside. That's where I'm at with it, where it's like, I don't want to scroll the app and just see the same post about the same person about the same thing. It's like, this is not what we built this community for. This is not what, you know, I came up on. This isn't something that, you know, I enjoy seeing every single week. It's always something new. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of people, the majority, would agree, right? There's always those, you know, a bad apple that can spoil the bunch, right? But at the same time, a lot of positives. Again, we talked about a lot of great relationships that have been formed in the Fantasy Football Expo special event. Let's talk a little bit about that. You are known to bring the fire when it comes to those outfits. Has that always been your thing? Like to dress a certain way? Is like that's you. That's
that's kind of me,
a long way.
Yeah, like since after high school, that's kind of like I found a niche where I was like, I kind of like the loud, you know, patterned shirts. I kind of like the crazy wonky shirts that not your average person would probably wear. Like, I like to style it with my kind of style and personality. So like, that's just been who I've been for a very long time.
It's fun. I mean, it brings an element to the expo that I truly appreciate, and I'm glad that you bring that. I know I know Mike's fire. It's fun to see like the Andy Barons and people get involved and get excited about it. Start planning out outfits months in advance, right?
You gotta love that, man. That's the energy I love in the community right there.
That's the good stuff. That's what it's all about, and that's what you find in Canton. Good stuff over there for sure.
Absolutely.
Let's dive into some rapid fire questions. I'll just throw out a question.
Yeah.
Let me know the first things that come to mind. So if you're going to assemble a loud shirt judging panel for the expo, who's on that panel?
Ooh, definitely Andy. You just mentioned him. I'll say Hoove. Mike. Mikey Two Guns, I like to call him. And Jagger. I'll get him in there. That'll be the panel.
Okay, I like it. That's a good panel. I'm looking forward to seeing Jagger out there because he can bring some style, can't he?
Yeah, there we go. He got his membership a while ago. I gave him the stamp of approval. Like, yo, you're in the club.
I love it. So, what do you enjoy most about what you're doing in the industry right now?
Oh man, it has to be different ways to create content. Like, being that I have the resources that I have and the peers that I have in Marcus Grant and Michael Florio, it's just like, man, I like doing skits now. Like, I like doing like the little acting portion, like the skits that we did last summer. Like, I hope we can bring those back, and like being able to have the resources to do different types of content right now, where I'm expanding my brain of like, man, this would be really cool if I do X, Y, and Z now, to where like I'm finding new things of how to make content and also implement my personality in this content.
Love it. Keep it coming for sure. We love it. We love to see it. So as a Rams fan, which NFL or which NFC West organization do you respect the most?
None. But if I had to respect one of them, I'll probably say the Cardinals, because they've been pretty bad. So it's like easy dubs on the schedule when we see them. Like, okay, we got the win.
I love it. Who do you consider your biggest rival?
49ers. I can't stand them. They're the worst fan base. I can't. They're just. I get frustrated when I think about them. It's just like, stop talking. Like, get the job done. Like, oh my god, it's just they've been our biggest rivals for our forever time, and it's like the fans, they make it worse, and especially with Twitter now and every other social media platform. You can hear them for 24/7 now. So there's that.
I mean, as a Seahawks fan, lifelong Seahawks fan from the Pacific Northwest, I agree. Like, the Niners, that's who we consider the biggest rivals.
Yeah.
We don't. With the Rams, I mean, respect the rivalry, and you guys have had your time. Definitely not. You've had the Seahawks kryptonite for sure, but the Niners, I echo that. Like, I've never seen a team. Although I say I like a lot of the players, like a lot of them individually I like, but collectively, I've never seen a team think they're so special and have done so much, but haven't yet, than the Niners. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I love it.
At least we got an agreement on that. They are
for sure. They are the worst. Hopefully they go down this next weekend.
No, yeah.
What are your favorite hobbies and activities outside of sports?
Oh man, I just like kicking it with the kiddos, man, and the wife, and we just kind of do our own thing where we still are venturing LA. There's still things that we haven't done or seen. So most of the time when I'm away from the computer or the mic, man, we're just really trying to find things to do together as a family, and just really just kick it. It could just be the most simplest things of going like to Dave and Buster's, like stupid things like that, and just have a day.
You and your little mini me's, right?
Yeah, my little mini me's, man.
I love it. What's the last TV show that you binged?
Oh man, it's the last TV show I binge. Ooh, it's something new. It's actually a documentary that me and my wife just knocked out in the last couple of weeks. It's the Natalie Grace story. It's insane if you haven't heard about it. It's on HBO Max and Discovery. Like that was the last thing that we sat down and just had to watch all the way through. So like part 1, part 2 is just like, all right, we're hooked. But that was the last thing I binged though.
All right. What's your favorite all-time TV show?
The Office. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
That's it.
I mean,
That's the goat.
yeah, easy to call that one, right?
Close, but it's just like no. The Office very close to my heart.
How about an all-time favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Goodfellas.
All right. How about an all-time favorite sports movie?
Sports movie, Waterboy, if that counts.
That counts.
Any given Sunday. That's pretty good.
That's real good.
Yeah.
What are you most grateful for at this time?
Man, I'm just grateful to have air in my lungs, man, and be able to do the things that I'm doing. And it's like every day you got to take it, 1 foot at a time. And there could be a lot on my plate, but I'm just grateful to even have this plate in front of me, to have these goals in front of me, to have the opportunity to attack, anything I want out here.
Love it. Love it. Let's talk a little Super Bowl. Who's winning it?
Hopefully the Chiefs, man. But this is actually a game where I don't really know I can say it's going to be one or the other. Like it might be a really close game. Like the Chiefs defense lights out, and then you got the high power offense in 49ers. It's like how is the strong defense and this strong offense going to face off? So I think this is probably going to be one of the best Super Bowls we see, in the last couple of years, where they both don't really have much weaknesses. I mean, you still have Mahomes on offense, and then you still have that 49ers defense. You know what I mean? So it's like it's going to be a great game to where like I hopefully the Chiefs win. I really hope that the Chiefs win though.
I'm with you all the way, man. We can't have those Niners win because then all that trash talk and all that excitement they have for their team, it's legit. But until then, it's not, right?
No, they don't deserve it.
So talk to me about your off-season plans. What do you look forward to the most? What do you look forward to the most during the off-season?
Off season, man, I'm really looking forward to the content that I'm like kind of sitting on right now, where I just want to keep having fun. Like I threw a little preview that's pinned on my Twitter post right now of like the kind of content I want to keep leaning into. I just want to have fun, man, with the content and just kind of inform people at the same time while they're laughing at me or whatever the case may be. Like I just want to have fun with the content this summer to where like it's free and it's like not anything that needs to be taken serious,
Do you have a favorite time during the off season? Build up to the draft, free agency period, or
I got to be honest. Free agency is my favorite part because like the last couple of years, teams been making a splash, and like free agency for me this year, like there's guys like Saquon. I want to see where they go. Like hopefully Houston. Like I like picking landing spots, for these players and like where they best fit. Obviously you don't get them all right. Teams and GMs know more than us. We're just in front of a mic talking, but I like speculating, assuming, and stuff like that of trying to see where people are going to land.
Yeah, I think with free agency, like this year, especially the amount of running backs on the free agency list potentially, it's going to be wild. Like the movement on the running back front, and for me, I love the draft. Is there any players that you're looking that you just can't wait to see get into the NFL this year?
I mean, the draft for me, like I really start my research work now. So there's obviously the Roman Wilsons, the Marvin Harris Jr.'s, like the big names. Like I haven't done any deep dives yet into where I can really pick out a Puka Nacua or I pick out, a Kyron Williams from the years prior. So it's like I haven't gone that deep into research. So, once we get close to the draft, like I'm talking probably like 2-3 weeks away from the draft, I should have, down pack of what's what and who's who and who's going where.
So what that means is you got to follow LQ. Make sure you're tuning in when we get closer to that draft, because he's got to have a ton of fire content for sure. And this class, I mean, there's just so many wide receivers, which is fun, which
Yeah,
there's a lot to break down. So exciting times for
it is,
sure.
man.
Now it's been fun. It's been fun seeing your journey. I remember catching hold of your stuff early on. Can you name just a few more of the people out there that just have had a huge impact on you during your run in the industry?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, there's a list of people I can name, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But like off the top of my head, obviously, Marcus and Florio, man, those guys, have been taking me under the wing, learning a lot from them. I mean, Troy King, man, he's like one of my first good friends, that I talk to almost every day, to where like this internet stuff is what made us friends, and like he's a
Yep.
really good dude. So he had an impact on me as well, just letting me know like I can make actual friends here in this industry. And like Fantasy Pros, I got to give a shout out to them, Tags, RIP, Joey Pisapia and Dan Harris. They gave me huge opportunities to, appear on some of their podcasts, and then the marathon that they have. So shout out to those guys, man. Forever grateful. And Lawrence Jackson and Ray G and Jordan Richardson, man, those guys, man, just being by my side, just stringing me along, like, hey man, like you should start doing this, man, or you should look into this. Like they've been real tour guides, navigating guides for me, so shout out to them boys.
I love it. Now, again, the bottom line is it is a good group of people out there in the fantasy community. Events like the Expo, super special. You've attended live Scott Fishbowl drafts. Like, talk a little
That
bit
was
about
awesome.
that experience. How was that for you?
Man, that was awesome. Like drafting with your peers, like in the industry, and then coming to a set location, a beautiful location at Trophy Smack Spot. Hopefully, we can run that back and do it again. We had food, we had drinks, the energy was high, music, whatever. Like we had it all, man. Like that was just amazing. It was tough. It was very competitive because you're dealing with some heavy hitters as well. So it's like, oh snap, I got to get on my A game, like as if this is my home league.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a tough division. I fell flat pretty early, so I wasn't really competitive, but it was a wild run in a great group. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I feel like we nailed it when it comes to that group that we assembled. We even got the best spot in the kitchen at Trophy Smack.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we can run it back. I no doubt from Seattle want to fly back down for that, because it
Oh,
was
for
it was
sure.
a special event. I think that's the live SFB draft you want to be at. But at the same time, Scott is pushing a ton more out there this year. I think there's going to be 25 plus cities,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it's gonna be cool. So good
Cool.
stuff, great stuff. Now for you, again, you've trailblazed your own path. It's been fun to witness. What advice do you have for others that want to get more involved in fantasy, in the fantasy community, in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, my advice, man, is find your passion, and you just have to keep driving, like keep showing up, man. I mean, there was times where I feel like nobody's watching. I've had like videos that only do like 6 views, but you never know who's watching. So just keep going at it, keep dropping the content, keep flooding every single social media platform until somebody sees you, until somebody stops scrolling that one day. Like, you know what? I've been seeing him for 5 hours just on my timeline. Let me see what he's talking about. You never know who's watching. There's been plenty of people that reached out to me, notable people in the industry that reached out to me, where I'm like, how did you even see my video? Like, I didn't even know you knew I existed. You know what I mean? So go at it with that mentality and find something that has you standing out and being unique. Like if it's a certain thing that you do, in your real life off the internet that you think that will be relatable to somebody on the timeline, bring it there. Show your personality. Don't try to be this robot or try to be somebody you're not. Just be yourself. Get comfortable with yourself and get comfortable with your content. Just live free and then happy.
Great advice. Right on cue. I love that. And speaking of on cue, LQ, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to share before we close things out?
No, man, this was great, man. You hit the nail on the head with this interview, man. I mean, it was great for you to have me on, man. I love your setup, and I keep looking at your setup, and there's something new every time I see. I'm like, man, that's pretty sick. Like, yo, like, oh man, what Funko Pop is that one by the belt?
Which one? What about? Oh, that's Brian Bosworth.
Nice. I'm
Go
starting to get my
Seahawks.
collection. Yeah, I'm
I
starting
love
to
it.
get my collection as well, man. But that's dope.
Nice. No, well, you're always keeping it hot, man. Always keeping it fire. So I appreciate everything you're doing. Been a big fan of yours. All the way the last few years, and just can't wait to see what's next for you. So thank you so much for joining me. Share with the listeners, the viewers, where they can find your content.
You guys can find me at Real Deal Fantasy on all social media platforms, man. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the place. Twitter, of course, and Real Deal Fantasy. You guys can follow me and then follow the fire content.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to see what's next for you. Can't wait to see you in Canton. Everybody wants to hit Canton this year. We highly recommend it because it's going to be another year. It's going to hit another level. And make sure you bring those shirts. Everybody out there, right?
And bring the tequila.
Yeah, bring the tequila too. All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later, my man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.